So it would seem that we are definitely living in a different world today. It does seem like the world we once knew is gone. Not only are things dramatically changing around us, but people are changing on the inside. People are changing their thinking, their plans for their future. And it is granted because look at how our world leaders are handling this outbreak. If this is how they handle this X event, how are they going to handle anything worse? It is probably wise to start preparing to handle future scenarios ourselves. So while they are handling that, I want to take some time out to discuss something strange happening around us. A phenomena that is not unfamiliar to any of us, but it is something that I just cannot seem to escape from its media bombardment. And that is the constant and never-ending ring of UFO sightings. Now, I'm not too fond of the mainstream news, but I use it to show you what they are putting out there for you to see. And it is interesting to see them bring this up in an article entitled, UFO Sightings in North America Jumped to Nearly 6,000 in 2019. There was a rise in the number of North Americans who looked up into the sky in 2019 and found something that didn't look like a bird or a plane. The National UFO Reporting Center, which tracks calls and messages from people around the US and Canada about strange sightings in the sky, reported that it received 5,971 sightings in 2019, a jump from 3,395 in 2018. Peter Davenport, who runs the independent organization that's based in Davenport, Washington, said he couldn't explain why more people called about seeing flashing white lights, fireballs, disc-shaped objects, or other oddities in 2019. One of the mysteries of ufology is there is a fluctuation in the number of reports over the years. He told ABC News in a phone interview, "Some years it's been low, but it's gotten higher recently." So let's take a look into this phenomena and see if we can't figure out why the number of sightings may be steadily rising in today's world. So how many of you remember what happened last year when the Navy gave a briefing to a group of US senators and the president? It was a briefing on UFO sightings. Now, apparently, naval pilots had been encountering UFOs at such a frequency that they had to have a meeting on it. A meeting so important, so classified, that it was all over the news. Why? Why let us know about something they can't let us know about? You know, I came across an article in Tech Times and it started up my imagination. What if this virus that's going around is causing aliens to leave the planet? Therefore, you have an increase in UFO sightings. But then I thought, well, maybe the opposite could be true. Maybe more aliens are coming because the virus is intended to immunize the human population against aliens. How many of you have heard of such theories? I mean, how many times have you heard of certain alien species carrying around deadly viruses, which is one of the reasons why they make very little contact with us? Or perhaps they make very little contact with us because we carry viruses and bacteria that their alien bodies can't handle. And then there's another theory. What if this virus arrived on a meteorite? Now, they've already done experiments to see if viruses can survive in space, and they can. They were never living to begin with, but they've already tested this theory on other microorganisms, like the tardigrades that they launched into space to test their durability. So let me give you a term you may not have heard before: panspermia. And panspermia is the hypothesis that life may have begun as a result of infection. In other words, life on Earth may have started off with some form of microorganism arriving from space. So, if you didn't know this or haven't heard about it, last year in October, there was a fireball sighting over northeast China. It was significant enough to make headlines all over. And then the story faded. A month later, we have an outbreak in Wuhan. And earlier this year, we have articles such as this: coronavirus came from meteorite which hit China last year, bombshell scientists claim. First, I discussed 5G and how, yes, EMF radiation does affect the body, and yes, it may also have an effect on a virus's impact on the body as well. I discussed AI tracking, and they have come out and admitted that yes, due to this virus, they are going to roll out several forms of tracking citizens. So what were conspiracy theories are turning out to be reality to some degree. And here we are now, with what may be the origin of the coronavirus. Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe of the Buckingham Center of Astrobiology said, "The sudden outbreak of a new coronavirus is very likely to have a space connection. The strong localization of the virus within China is the most remarkable aspect of the disease." In October last year, a fragment of a comet exploded in a brief flash in northeast China. We think it probable that this contained embedded within its monoculture of infective 2019 nCoV virus particles that survived in the interior of the incandescent meteor. We consider the seemingly outrageous possibility that hundreds of trillions of infective viral particles were then released embedded in the form of fine carbonaceous dust. We believe infectious agents are prevalent in space, carried on comets, and can fall towards Earth through the troposphere. If for some reason this turned out to be the case, and the virus did come from a foreign object from space, then that's pretty bad news considering that there are more meteorites on the way. I'm telling you, the meteor problem is going to get worse and worse. When it comes to UFOs, anytime anything happens, there are UFO sightings. Someone spots Bigfoot, there's a UFO. A volcano erupts, there's a UFO. Someone gets kidnapped or goes missing, there's a UFO. Someone sees a ghost, there's a UFO. Mothman, there's a UFO. There's a thunderstorm, there's a UFO. There were UFO sightings during 9/11. There were UFO sightings during the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster. Even during the Roswell crash of 1947, there were UFOs there too. UFOs have been around for every major event. They are depicted in paintings with Jesus and in other old paintings. UFOs, they are alien journalists, it seems like, covering Earth news on the human channel. Am I right? Am I close? Do you know that the number of reported UFO sightings in 2018 rose 52% in 2019? That is a pretty significant jump, folks. What's the meaning of this? UFO sightings on the rise in U.S. after Texas fleet of lights spotted in Detroit. UFO sightings are on a rise in western Pennsylvania. It's not going away, retired journalist Bob Gaddy said. Whether you believe or don't believe in this stuff, the fact remains there is a lot happening for some reason. UFO sightings triple in New York City in 2019. This is not the first time I have seen alien craft outside of my window at my home in Brooklyn, the person posted. The first time was in October, and I swear I almost got abducted. UFO sightings on the rise in Connecticut. There have been nearly 100 UFO sightings in Connecticut since the beginning of the year. The National UFO Reporting Center says there have been 87 sightings over this time period. Now, the darkest of these theories is that we are being harvested. Which brings me to something that many have asked me about, and that is adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is what you get when adrenaline oxidizes, either in the blood or in a lab from epinephrine. It has been reported to have psychological effects on humans, even considered to be a mind-altering drug. However, it is an unscheduled drug as well. If I were to sit here and talk about adrenochrome, I would have to get into a fairly long presentation that would have to be laid out carefully, because now we're talking about royal families. We are now talking about political leaders, celebrities. We are now talking about the occult, ritual sacrifice. We are talking about all that bad stuff people do with blood. We are talking about reptilians and their agenda, aliens, fallen angels. You know, we've got some blood-drinking individuals out there, just straight up vampires. And some of them do prey on children. So what I think is going to happen is that people are going to keep seeing objects in the sky. And I think more and more people are going to be sighting a UFO for the first time. Just hope that your sighting is in the form of a flying saucer and not in the form of a flaming rock. You know, folks, they keep telling us over and over, asteroid flyby, it's coming close, but not that close. It will miss us. Oh, there goes another one. Oh, this one's strange. Let's call it Oumuamua. Hey, there's a tiny moon orbiting around Earth. Oh, here comes Comet Atlas. I mean, the reports for the number of objects flying by us is frequent. And if you pay attention, what they are trying to tell you all is, heads up. Well, to be honest, I don't really think they are trying to warn us. But God may be. See, the number of portable electronic devices is still increasing. Tracking technology is evolving. Camera technology is evolving. And so you will have more and more people recording things that will blow your mind. Strange things, unbelievable things. It has come to the point to where they are having a very difficult time hiding things anymore. The revelation has indeed begun. So here's the bottom line. There's something called the Fermi paradox. It is a term dubbed after Enrico Fermi, a nuclear physicist at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. He estimated that there are about 300 billion stars just in our galaxy. And a lot of these star systems are well equipped to host life. Just by doing the math, there should be tens of thousands of intelligent alien life forms. Because many of these star systems are much older than ours, and because we have the capability to travel space to some degree, one would expect that at least one of these civilizations would leave evidence of their visitation to Earth. In other words, if aliens are real, if they have the technology to travel the stars, why isn't there any solid evidence being presented and studied to support that fact? And this is the Fermi paradox. So what you end up with is another group of theories to explain why that is. The main issue here is that UFO phenomena is not studied on the level of importance as it should be publicly, because we know very well that the government classifying information on the matter takes it very seriously. They take it so seriously they have to keep people out of certain areas, away from certain bases. Isn't it interesting that governments around the world would classify all this information on UFOs, yet the public is wishy-washy about how they feel about the subject? Think about that. The increase in UFO sightings may have something to do with this virus we are dealing with, but considering the number of fireballs that have been sighted and incoming, not to mention the weather we are about to endure, there may be another reason for the increase that has nothing to do with the virus, but maybe something more threatening. Well, everyone, it's that time again. There is so much that I wanted to cover, and I did want to mention this topic and just give you all some other things to consider, whether you are into UFOs or not. The government obviously believes in UFOs and are really into them. So, stay awake, stay aware, stay safe under these mysterious skies, and I'll talk to you all soon.